There is an age-old question on the internet that basically goes along the lines of, how old of a Mike Tyson could you beat if for every year he is old, you get $1 million? Most people would be like, yeah, I could beat up, I don't know, a 15-year-old Mike Tyson. He's a little kid. And then they find out that Mike Tyson looked like this when he was 13, and then their answer becomes, okay, I guess like a 6-year-old Mike Tyson or something. But after watching Jake Paul, a YouTuber, beat up a 58-year-old Mike Tyson like it was a day at the office, I'm starting to understand that this question is a little bit misleading. You know what my answer would be? I would fight a 670-year-old Mike Tyson and just cash out. There's a small chance if he makes it to 670 years old, though, he might be like part cyborg. Hold on, I need a minute with this.
That's a lot of nuts!
Netflix has entered the live streaming space with their first live streamed sporting event just last night, showcasing Jake Paul versus Mike Tyson, which is an incredible sentence for an event that was absolutely kind of garbage. Let's break it down. Going into this fight, Jake Paul had a record of 10 wins, 1 loss, which sounds pretty impressive as far as boxing goes, until you take a slightly closer look at the opponents that he fought to obtain that record. Obviously, boxers should be fighting boxers. However, the vast majority of the people that Jake Paul has been fighting in his boxing bouts have been people that aren't boxers. Ben Askren is an MMA fighter, mostly known for wrestling. Tyron Woodley twice, MMA fighter. Anderson Silva, MMA fighter. Nate Diaz, MMA fighter. Not only do these guys not box, but they are generally well past their prime, to the point where Jake Paul is fighting people 10, 15 years older than himself. The one legitimate boxing match that he had at the time was against Tommy Fury, the younger brother of the then undefeated heavyweight champion Tyson Fury. That is the one loss on his record. Is it impressive to have a win over Hall of Fame MMA fighters like Anderson Silva? Yeah, it is, but it's boxing and they're past their prime. This is the equivalent of having a win over Magnus Carlsen in a game of checkers when he's 60. So whether you're a casual boxing fan or you're an actual fight nerd, most people look at Jake Paul's record as a little bit illegitimate. There's an asterisk next to the fact that he has 10 wins and 1 loss, but despite that, because these people had such big names in MMA, and with his older brother Logan fighting Floyd Mayweather at the time for a massive gate, there is still a tremendous amount of hype around Jake Paul, to the point where he still has boxing events where he co-owns the promotion that sell as many tickets and get as many eyes on them as people with way better records than he does, which probably explains how he managed to cash in on a fight against legendary Iron Mike Tyson. Another asterisk, Mike Tyson is 58 years old and hasn't been in a sanctioned boxing match in nearly 20 years. But here's the thing, that's kind of Jake Paul's entire shtick. Yeah, these guys don't really have traditional boxing training to go up against a young, trained boxer like Jake Paul, but they do all have a tremendous amount of star power in the realm of which they are experts. Prior to losing to Jorge Masvidal about as quickly as you can lose an MMA match, Ben Askren was a very good MMA fighter, although mostly a wrestler, so it's no surprise that he got knocked out by Jake Paul about as quick as he got knocked out by Masvidal. Anderson Silva is arguably the greatest middleweight MMA fighter ever. He was unstoppable when he was good, but then he broke his leg and lost the first match against Weidman due to showboating too much. We all know he's never been the same since then. Nate Diaz is a fan favorite. Everybody loves watching Nate. He is a great, entertaining MMA fighter. He is a jiu-jitsu expert. He hasn't had a TKO knockout in MMA in 10 years, which is all fun and fair to say, and it feels like the exact same story with Mike Tyson, but it's Mike Tyson. Like, sure, almost 60 means he's way on this end of the spectrum when it comes to being past your prime, but he's also way on this end of the spectrum when it comes to legitimate boxers. And so everybody's question was basically thus: does Mike Tyson still have the power, the wherewithal, the boxing expertise to make up for the fact that the dude doesn't have any legs anymore? First of all, This is a fight that is live streamed on Netflix. None of those words should be in the same sentence, and yet here we are. Netflix's first live streamed sporting event, and how did it go? Not great. There was a lot of technical issues, people talking when their mic should have been off, sound issues where the commentators couldn't hear the guests that they were interviewing. It all felt a little bit silly. But hey, what would otherwise be a $50, $60, $70 pay-per-view event to watch a boxing fight is instead basically free if you have Netflix, which is everybody. It doesn't stop people from clowning on the fact that a massive company like that couldn't put on a show without it looking like you were streaming from a Galaxy S4. But hey, you take what you can get. Before the fight would even begin, both of the fighters would be up to some pre-show antics, either to promote the fight or just because they're kind of crazy. Jake Paul would post some videos of him working out, as most boxers do. I don't really understand what the game plan was with looking pregnant in these promotional videos, but whatever, I'm not a promoter. Mike Tyson looked excellent in his training footage. For a dude who's as old as my dad, even if he is a world championship boxer, this is impressive for 58 years old. That being said, Mike Tyson is also a little bit of a psycho. You can imagine that many years of getting punched in the head would eventually lead to a little bit of brain damage. Maybe he's not all there. Most older boxers don't exactly have it all together, but Mike Tyson's kind of on another level when it comes to this thing. Mike Tyson did an interview with a child, which is not something you should do ever, where the child asks a question that's supposed to be like motivational or whatever, and Mike Tyson responds like this.
So after such a successful career, what type of legacy would you like to leave behind when it's all said and done?
It means absolutely nothing to me. I'm just passing through. I'm going to die, and it's going to be over. Who cares about legacy after that? What a big ego. So I'm going to die. I want people to think that I'm this, I'm great. No, we're nothing. We're just dead. We're dust. We're absolutely nothing. Our legacy is nothing.
Hey, Mike! Do you do kids' birthday parties? I would love to have you there. But that's the thing with Mike Tyson. Inside the ring, outside of the ring, this is always how he has been ever since he retired. He's just a little bit really fucking aggressive. That's just the sort of guy that he is. And all of that plays perfectly into the fight promotion. As I said, there's a big asterisk next to every one of Jake Paul's wins in boxing, with him co-promoting and owning the promotion company basically, with all of these fights and picking and choosing old retired UFC fighters to box with. A lot of people imagine that most of these boxing fights are set up with just a payday in mind, that these dudes are effectively being paid to lose. Maybe not throw the fight, but maybe don't fight as hard as you want to, or maybe take a fight when you're way out of shape and don't need to be easy fodder for Jake Paul, which is relatively normal in the boxing game. Nobody's fighting boxers that they think they're gonna lose to. How do you think people end up with records of 50-0? It's because they choose when and who they fight. But Mike Tyson? Mike Tyson, as you can tell from that short interview, does not seem like the type of person who would throw away an opportunity to beat your face in, even if it meant a ton of money. The only time I have seen Mike Tyson calm and collected is when he's acting calm and collected in a Hangover movie. That's it. This energy would be reflected yet again during one of the pre-fight pressers where Jake Paul sort of crawls up to the stage and accidentally steps on Mike Tyson's toe, at which point Mike Tyson slaps him across the face, which is a perfectly reasonable response to what happened, but also, like I said, there's an entire air of like how much of this is staged and just done for show. Is Mike Tyson really going to go 100% against Jake Paul? And it isn't like press events, pre-fight weigh-ins, or any other stuff before the fight happens isn't a stage designed for big events like this. People want drama, and it isn't uncommon for a slap, a shove, a push, a small fight to break out between two boxers that are actually going to fight the next day in order to hype up some of that drama. So, you know, something to keep in mind. So the event finally starts. At 8 p.m. Eastern time, everybody tunes in to Netflix to watch a live stream, which still feels like a weird thing to say, and we watch a bunch of preliminary fights. A lot of stuff happens. One Indian boxer humps some Brazilian YouTuber. There's a lot of stuff going on, but everybody's waiting for Jake Paul and Mike Tyson. Jake Paul shows off the fact that he's wearing a pair of boxing shorts that evidently cost $1 million. I feel like some of that money could have gone into making them look good, but whatever. Mike Tyson does exactly one pre-fight interview with his son where he answers 2 questions in the span of 10 seconds, kisses him on the side of the head, and then walks away from the camera to reveal his bare ass. The cameraman tries to zoom in to shift focus from the fact that it happened, but then the official Netflix Twitter account repost that like their social media team was so ready to post Mike Tyson's bare ass all over the internet. I'm not saying it was scripted. It's Mike Tyson. The dude is unpredictable as hell, but like, come on, the first ever, I mean, how many boxing events do you randomly get nudity? Like, you get blood, but this, I mean, they're breaking ground here. So the fight finally starts. We finally get to see Mike Tyson at 58 years old fight Jake Paul. And in the first round, there's exactly one moment that feels like Mike Tyson still has it, where he throws a left jab, catches Jake right on the chin, and basically knocks him to the ropes. But then, kind of nothing. Mike Tyson doesn't really throw any other punches. It feels like he's tired immediately. He's got a little bit of head movement, but absolutely no footwork. And the rest of the fight is basically just them taking jabs at each other with no knockdowns, no major punches for 8 rounds. That first punch definitely looked like it had power behind it. And through all the training footage that Mike Tyson had posted in preparation for this fight, and supposedly having been training for this for 7 months, it's not like he just decided last week he would hop in the ring with Jake Paul. One would think he'd have a little bit better cardio, which has led a lot of people to believe that this first punch was way too much. That Mike Tyson threw that punch thinking he could throw a normal hook, landed way too clean, and realized, oh man, if I knock out Jake, I'm not gonna get paid, which has fueled the entire conspiracy theory of people thinking, oh, this entire thing was staged to make it so that Jake Paul looked good and they would pay Mike Tyson a ton of money. That's possible. And it's possible that a lot of people are just thinking that because they want Mike Tyson to continue to be this absolute GOAT in their mind. But the reality is that the dude is 58 years old. There is absolutely a chance that he just can't compete with somebody half his age. But that first punch looked like he could have taken his head clean off if it was a right. The fight ends for a unanimous decision for Jake Paul. Basically 7 rounds won, 1 round loss. And it begs the question of basically, what was the game plan here? Mike Tyson hasn't fought competitively outside of one fight in 2020 for the better part of like 20 years at this point. And for Jake Paul to bring him out of essentially retirement to do this sort of fight on an official scorecard, it's really kind of a lose-lose situation. If Jake Paul wins, well then you basically just brought out a 58-year-old boxing legend with the enticement of your promotional money to make yourself look good, which is gonna make all boxing fans kinda hate you. But then if you lose the fight, you lost to somebody who's about to start receiving social security benefits, and that doesn't look great for your career either. But Jake Paul's goal with this fight is obviously not to look good or look bad, it's just to get people's attention. With him doing one of the biggest numbers of any boxing event in that arena outside of what I think was a Canelo fight, that's impressive. The first live stream sporting event to be live streamed to Netflix, that seems a little bit specific of an accolade to be super proud of, but whatever, you made it happen. And now he's got the boxing world talking. Conor McGregor tweeted about him. Gervonta Davis is tweeting about him. He's got world champion boxers and other big stars in the space all talking about Jake Paul. Hell, I'm making a video about it as if I'm anywhere near the level of those idiots. YouTuber boxing has come a long way and has evidently made a lot of money. It has gone from something I would never spend any money on to something that I watched and still feel like I wasted my money on even though I didn't pay to watch this one. On the bright side, I got to see Mike Tyson's ass in HD. If you guys want to see my ass in HD, remember to hit the subscribe button so you don't miss my videos coming out every week. A big thank you to the patrons scrolling in the back. Thank you so much for making this show possible. And I will catch you guys on the next video. Peace.